name's Pierre. Currently, freelance everything. Freelance retail worker, stylist, model, and warehouse worker as well.
Can you explain kind of your situation right now and how things led up to that moment, like why you're currently not in school? If it was a choice, if it wasn't a choice.
I think it was a choice for me. None of my parents went to school, and they were pretty much pushing me. If you're not going to go to school, you got to get a job. You got that. You have to join the military. Really interested in anything enough to want to go to school for. Aside from like fashion, but then I felt like it's an art form. There's nothing you can't really teach an art. It's something you have or you don't. Very self-taught like industry, you know.
Yeah. So again, why I want you to like reiterate more on your art. What inspired you to do art? Was it something like outside influences? Was it something that came completely from you?
My father, he was an artist, a singer. So I think a specific art form was something that was always like embedded in my family. Um, yeah, it just became something I chose to do versus going like the corporate route of things.
And do you believe that like the clothes on your back represent something about yourself? Like it tells a story, or is it kind of just like, I wear things because they look cool? Like, do you think clothes can tell a story about a person?
Oh, definitely. The clothes that I wear are mostly thrifted and everything, but I want to dress myself in a way where I can't be perceived as like I'm valued more than what I am. You know, it's more of a mind trick I could play on myself, so I don't have this feeling of like always being inferior to the people that I'm around. I can't see myself doing anything else. I've tried many different things, but it's nothing makes me as happy as I want to be, as I am doing this.
Do you feel like people don't feel free enough, or they feel like too caged in to be able to actually do what they want? Like there's like a fear aspect to it?
I definitely believe that there's a fear aspect to it. I think, and if you want to take the whole entrepreneurial route, it takes a lot of confidence for someone to have. You know, like, and if you're not, I think a lot of it's pressure from family. You know, like your family always tells you, if you're not going to go to school, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to do anything in life and stuff. So it's like they had this fear of, if I don't go, I won't succeed. You know, but like there's always that chance you have to take. And most of the people that I know who are in school, they're very unhappy. You know, it's just like. And I always ask them if whatever they're in school studying for, do they love it? You know, do they think it'll pay off at the end? And a lot of them, they're very unsure at the moment, which I get because they're maybe just now starting school. But like, I feel like if you're not sure of yourself right now, I don't think you ever will be. You know.
And how do you think you get that confidence? Is it something that you have to grow yourself, or is it something that you kind of like build through doing other things and seeing other people, or kind of like an influence
For
of
sure,
both?
I definitely think you have to build it. You have to build up the confidence. Like I was very insecure for a very long time, and it's just something you have to take a lot of alone time in order to be confident in whatever it is. Even if it is school, you have to take a lot of alone time to think about what you want to do in the future and everything.
Do you have any words of advice or inspiration to people that may feel like they want to take that leap and, get out of school and start pursuing what they want to do?
Do your research. That's my advice. Do your research. Believe in yourself. You know, uh, don't be afraid to fail. Embrace the failures. And you know, there's a lot of people fail. Like I've failed many times. But you just have to have it in yourself to get back up and keep going.
So I just want to add on that the reason why most kids go to school is because they feel like it's the safe route, right? And we live in a society where taking the safest route, will lead to success, guaranteed. But that's not always the case. Unless you go to school to become an engineer, lawyer, doctor, or an accountant, um, there's really no other lucrative path, or reason to go to college in the first place.
How do you sustain yourself being a college dropout?
There's always going to be roadblocks along the way, a lot of obstacles. Um, it really matters like how much you can take that. You know, if you have that strong, willpower and willing to embrace all the challenges being thrown at you, see yourself succeeding in the long run. So if you're up for that, I'd say entrepreneurship is for you. Um, Otherwise, not going to enjoy it as much.
So my name is Marqi Morgan. I am 22 years old, and pretty long story, but to sum it up, I played college football for about 2 years, got injured, and after that, I was kind of like in a headspace of what to do with my life, because I grew up on sports. You know, when you grow up on sports, it's like that's the only thing you kind of live for.
A lot of discipline.
Right, and so breaking from that mindset kind of set me free to like believe in something else. We're not really taught to believe in ourselves. We're only taught to work and, you know, do things. So that part, and also like depending on what type of supportive system you have to back you up can, you know, determine that. But with me personally, I just stepped out on faith because I believe in higher power. So I stepped out on faith and was more like, okay, if I see other people doing something, we're all humans on this earth, so why can't I do it? So that was kind of the mentality I had. And so once I moved to Texas, I was like, well, I want to pursue acting. And I didn't really believe I could, but the more like I'm surrounded by people with like-minded mindsets, it's like, oh wow, this is possible, you know? So I started off doing, you know, extra work, background, behind the scenes. But all in all, like I just got my first lead speaking role in a movie. And it's like, I'm a living testimony that anything is possible. Anything you set your mind to, belief and consistency, action.
Mm-hmm.
People who say you can't, it's just they're projecting their fears onto you.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta be mindful.
Yeah. Do you think that having faith is necessary to, do you think having faith and that inner self-confidence is necessary in order to jump out of that box of like the societal norms and the societal pressures that we all face?
I feel like it plays a big part because it's like you can't be off balance. Faith is like walking through a dark tunnel and not knowing that there's light at the end, but you're still walking because you have that faith. Whatever lights your heart up, your spirit, whatever your passion is, whatever you feel that you can do but you're kind of timid, just do it. And I would say that the moment we're born into this world, we're on a timer to leave this world. So it's like, what are you going to do while you're here, you know? At the end of the day, we're here temporarily. So why not if you're the main character in this movie, in this life, you know, so why not, you know, do something? Even if you fail, there could be a chance of that, but wouldn't you rather take the chance rather than sitting in regret? You don't want to live life in regret. So follow your heart, and at the end of the day, you see other people around you, they're no different than you. We all bleed the same way, we all came here the same way. So what makes you different from them? Nothing. The only thing stopping you is yourself.
Okay, hi, my name's Deb Anderson. It was high school that I had dropped out of, and I don't think I've ever liked school that much. It was like, because I lived such a sheltered life, that it became hard for me to sort of collaborate with what was going on in high school. I just never actually liked it. I felt uncomfortable, and besides, I had other aspirations at the time. Columbia had come to the school where I was taking my GED, studying to get it, and what happened was that I actually did pass Columbia's test with their professors and their interview, and I even got a Columbia ID card, but I had missed my GED by 2 points, and that was one of the most disappointing things that I had that had happened to me, because I was so fixed on finally souping myself up to believing that my life could completely change. It became really hard for me to go through life maneuvering myself and feeling that I could accomplish, and just that thought alone dampened my opportunities. Therefore, I became fixed on believing that society's way of thinking that you have to do it this way or that way was making me feel that I was not worth living up to their standards, which is not true at all. I've overcome a lot. I've come a long way, and me not having my GED and me not going to college and me not following the rules never stopped me from being the best human being that I can be. I did really well. I didn't do bad at all. You know what I mean? And I'm still here to be able to talk about it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take for you to have this status of you having the paperwork to be qualified to do the things that you need to do for yourself to survive in society.
Mm-hmm. And how would you remove the negative connotation of like a dropout? Like how would you because everyone's like, oh, you're a dropout. How would you remove that negative feeling?
For myself?
Just in general, just like the word dropout.
I think it's a negative connotation all around. If I was in the position to give you a position in my establishment or company, I sure wouldn't base it on your credentials as far as your college degree, because any job that you go to, they're going to have to walk you through anything that you would have to do for that company. I would base it basically on what you can bring to the company and not so much what you've done in your past. Well, yeah, experience, of course, and your desire to want to be there, of course, counts, but not necessarily, there's some people that were seamstress and end up being managers or CEOs at a retail store. Who knows? Mm-hmm. So I would strongly suggest that you follow your dreams, and that some way the door will open. It is law of the universe. If you ask for what you want, you will receive it, so long as you're determined and you're dedicated and you know inside of you this is what you want.
Hi, my name is Tzvi Friedman. I am 23 and I live in Brooklyn, New York. Just as a little kid, I hated school. School was just death for me. I remember high school feeling like it would just never end. I remember being in 7th or 8th grade and just I thought I'd never get through it. Like, how is this possible? And I had older siblings who were getting through it, and it just seemed like this impossible obstacle. And I actually didn't get through high school. I dropped out in 12th grade, mid-12th grade. I mean, everybody goes to college. It's sort of the monolithic, trendy thing that everybody thinks they have to do. And the truth is that it's a smart thing, because it could guarantee a certain income depending on what degree you get. But I just knew there was no way. And it happened to be that my greatest passion in life was making movies, watching movies. And many of the people that I worshipped in the movie business never went to any sort of schooling for it. So it worked out very well. I'm lucky that the thing, if I wanted to be a scientist, I would have been in trouble. But since I already wanted to be in the movies, it just the stars aligned in that regard. And much like a lot of things in the arts, if you want to be a comedian, you don't really need to go to school for that. Go to school, a kid could raise his hand and have an idea for some movie about a robot hunting somebody, aka Terminator. And the professor will snob it out and say, "Oh, that's not artistic enough," or whatever. And then that professor just killed the next James Cameron, which I'm sure happens a lot in school. Of course, there are great schools out there, I'm sure. And then that's besides the fact that they cost a fortune of money, when really you could just do it on your own. And the odds are the same mathematically. Like, the success rate in schools are shit, especially in the art world. Your chances are almost zero anyways.
Yeah, so can you talk about your experience as a director, and what was like that push that was like, you know what, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to follow my dreams? Like, what initiated your creative path?
I think who gets the most credit is my mother, because my mother would read us a lot of books, novels, classics, and I think that really helped. Like, I don't know, I mean, who knows, right? Like, it could be you're just born creative, nobody knows. But that made me very passionate about creativity, especially writing. I would write novels and stuff in notebooks and all that kind of thing. The movie was what I would see when my mother would read us books. It was like I would like make movies of these books that most of them didn't have movies. They were obscure weird novels that she dug up. So the movie became like the vehicle to fulfill these daydreams that I was having in school. That's what I did most of the time, was just make movies in my head. I didn't think of them as movies at first. At first it was just like these visual dreams I had. And then I started to realize, hold on a second, I'm thinking through a camera, like I'm thinking in camera shots, yada yada. And I had a lot of pressure. I almost went to college because my parents are very conventional, very conservative people. And there were times where I was like, maybe I should. I signed up to the CUNY, like they had this free program. You get free schooling if you get great grades. And, I went and got my GED. But then what really changed, is going to sound pretty morbid, but a good friend of mine passed away. And he was a big fan and a big believer. And he really helped me along my path to finding like truly great movies. I saw my first R movie with him, The Boondock Saints. So he introduced me to the Scorsese movies, Goodfellas, Wolf of Wall Street, all that stuff. So we just had like this love for movies. That's really what our relationship was built on. It sounds pretty shallow, but it wasn't. Kind of going, oh, you're making movies? Like, what does that mean? And my friend like really defended me, and he's like, he's gonna do it. And that like kind of shifted something in me. And then he died a week later, and then it was like that's really when I had like, it's almost like the heavens opened up. There was like a crack in the fog. Life tends to be like that. Like most of the time you're just flailing around in this smoke-filled room, not knowing where the exit is or whatever. And then every now and then there's like a little signal, a little light in the dark. And it sounds pretty wrong, but it's the truth that when he died, I had like a clarity that this is just what I have to do. It's hard to explain why. It was like an emotional shift. I just knew. It was a knowing, and that was it. And then I just became committed to making films. I quit my jobs, and I just kept making films. Yeah, well, I think it's not true. You shouldn't follow your dreams. I think in the way that people say it, I think it's more than that. You also have to have like a knowing, like an inner knowing, that this is me, this is an extension of me. Because the problem is that it depends, again, what you're trying to do in life. If you want to be a doctor, quitting college would be pretty stupid. In the civilized world, you need school for a lot of different things. So if that's the case, don't drop out of college, because that would be pretty stupid. But I'm assuming, if you're an actor or all these different things that don't require school necessarily, but there's pressure to be in school, or you want to start a business, all these different things. So it really depends on what you're trying to do. I think that when it comes to the things that are very high risk, high reward, you have to also really feel like you have something for that dream. It's not enough. We all have dreams. I have other dreams that have nothing to do with making movies. That's just the reality. It's not true that anything is possible. So obviously it's not about being realistic, but it's about, there is something out there that I think everybody's destined to do, and many people shortchange themselves, and you could amount to greatness. You just have to really find that thing. And that you have that inner intuition, even if it does seem very distant and very far away. As long as you just know, you just have to have a knowing, and everybody will call you crazy, but if you have the knowing, then you know, and then there's no question about it. It's not confusing. So often, some people really don't know what they're doing at all, and that's why college exists. College helps people find their way, and that I understand. But some people from a very early age, or some people at a certain point in life go, this is what I'm going to do, but they get scared, and everybody says you're crazy, and this and that. But if you know deep down, you're going to end up regretting it much more if you don't follow it. And you should just go at it. And it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to succeed, because there are no guarantees in life. But I think that's the biggest thing, is like this inner intuitive feeling of, I got this, I just know how to do this,
Nancy, I'm 23, I'm from LA, but I'm also Nigerian and British and extra. I did go to college. I went to Penn State. People generally take me more seriously once they know that I went. I just don't really personally believe in going to school for art. I feel like it's this really like negative way of, I don't know, destroying freedom and go to school. But going to school for biology is like nice because people take me seriously, but I definitely think it generally was a waste of time because I'm not doing it anymore. I don't utilize the degree. I just kind of throw facts on, but it's kind of annoying because now I'm in like a lot of debt for college, and I laugh about it now, but it's like not really fun. I think there's nothing wrong with dropping out. Like, I have multiple friends that I went to school with, I started with, and they dropped out. I feel like it's really important for each person to understand their feelings regarding college. I feel like if I had more information, or at least the opinion of social media being sharing information and access to information, if I had that 4 years ago, maybe I wouldn't have gone. But personally, it's also because my family is Nigerian, and it's this almost like you owe them to go. It's a very like African or person of color kind of thing. But yeah, I definitely feel like college is not for everybody. I don't know why that idea is pushed upon everyone when it's just truly false. The entire institution is just broken, and my school, for instance, has a very not very positive history, and especially the last year I was there was just a lot of really negative experiences that I experienced and my friends experienced. There was a student who threatened the people of color, and that student did not get expelled, or didn't face any kind of consequences. So I really just feel like there's no positive affiliation I have with my school as much, but I feel like, yeah, it is unfortunate that the phrase or name or identity of being a college dropout is negative, when in fact those people are very aware and informed of the consequences of going to college, and they are also aware that you really can get to places without having a piece of paper. And no, it's not just Bill Gates dropped out of college, or these people like Zuckerberg dropped out of college. Like, no, these are white men. I feel like
with already established privilege that allowed them to like get through all of this.
Exactly. Yeah. So I feel like taking them out of the conversation and having more people from different backgrounds allows younger people who are then having this idea of like, I can't do this, this is not for me, to then see and access this information and be able to know like there is nothing wrong with this.
So my name is Vincent, but I also go by Vintage. I went to college for a little bit, but I couldn't really do the essays and the homework and stuff like that, and all the generic way, the generic style of teaching was just not my cup of tea. And so I couldn't deal with that anymore, and so I just dropped out. And what I'm doing right now is, I don't even know where to begin, because I feel like I'm doing a lot right now. So for work, for income, right, because we need that to sustain ourselves within this matrix, I do videography, photography, and just media work. But beyond the money, the income and stuff, I'm very passionate about helping the world progress, because I just see a lot of pain around me, especially in the city. It's hard to be happy because I'm not trying to ignore anything in my reality. I don't want to become ignorant. And so I want to remain sensitive. I think, yeah, just being ourselves and, doing stuff. Don't just be lazy, like go figure out what your passions are, figure it out, and then actually, do stuff in your passion. Yo, we've got to build with each other to really get through this shit that we're going through, like this college shit, because it's a scam, right? And so to get through this, which is connected to everything, like this blockage with college and how we need this to get money and stuff like that, even though we're putting ourselves in debt, like it makes no sense, but we're taught that it does. And so we just like, oh yeah, I guess it does. But to get through this, I think we just gotta build with each other and not even cut each other off. Like, if there's something unhealthy about someone, let's work it out. Let's talk about it, And if they can't, then we can walk away and go somewhere else, But yeah, I think we all gotta connect to each other and help each other process shit and just have fun with each other, So yeah, that's